Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Luke Campbell. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you doing, Casey?
Doing good. So what have you been up to these past few days?
Um, these past few days, school's out now, so I've kind of just been like figuring out what I'm going to do. I'm actually training for nationals for our 4x8 team.
Nice.
But so that's kind of keeping me in a certain schedule, but I've been kind of like some days I sleep in, some days I wake up early, kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Okay, what is the definition of sleeping in for you?
Um, well, actually, that 10. If I'm double digits, that's definitely sleeping in.
Yeah.
If I sleep past 10, I actually like to wake up early, like 7 o'clock, but some days I stay up late. Some days I'm exhausted, so I just like get as much sleep as I can.
Yeah, I always wonder what goes on at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, sometimes I'm hanging out with my friends, but most of the time I go to bed before midnight. I just sleep for like 10 hours. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just a teenager body, I guess. I don't
I
know.
guess. Um, and technically, at time of recording, school's not out for the district. It's tomorrow is the last day of school for all of Brighton. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, graduation, everything's all set and ready to go. It was quite the year for you.
Yeah, for sure. It has been, I guess, an electric year. School was fun, but obviously, like in terms of sports, I thought cross country, indoor track, and track went pretty well.
Yeah.
So
We had Tyler on a week ago, and he was kind of reflecting back on what the year was. For you, it was you were right in the middle of everything like he was.
hmm
What but you obviously have a different perspective, like everybody, like obviously every person, but from a perspective from you, like going back, I know we've covered the cross season a lot, but just to kind of go through that year, um, what was that like for you guys? Just to kind of see this program continue to evolve into, it keeps getting better every single year.
hmm Yeah. Oh, oops. Sorry about that. My probably my greatest mission as a captain is to see the program grow. And I think this year um, we took a step in the right direction. I think in terms of just raising the bar again. I think we did that throughout the fall, winter, and spring. And just to be a part of that was honestly probably my greatest high school experience.
Yeah. What will you remember about, your teammates and all that stuff? Because, you're the last class to go through the COVID year.
Hmm.
Um, that was in high school, but like to see where you guys have come from, of course, winning a championship not too long ago. Um, what was that experience like that you will always be forever known as a state champion?
Yeah, I mean that in my whole running experience. I mean, just to wear Brighton when I'm around at cross country meets or track meets, I have this pride inside of me that knows like we're at the top level. And of course, my sophomore year, that was absolutely like awesome to win the state championship. And I think chasing that down and coming up short, it stink to come up short. But I think it's also like I still had that same Brighton pride, and I couldn't be more grateful to be on the Brighton team.
Yeah. Um, Shifting gears now to track.
Mhm.
What was that year like for you guys? Because, a lot of the same guys, same coach, same
Hmm.
stuff, but
Yeah.
instead of a course, it's a circle.
Yeah. So I actually think we're uh we're pretty equal in terms of like we're really good at cross. I think we're pretty good at track too. I think we're pretty similar in that, and I think my experience in track was great. I always, I mean, I love cross country. Cross country is my favorite, but I love how track you get to mesh with different athletes. I think it brings like a different aspect to it, and I think um I think we merged really well this year, and we were able to come out and win a regional championship. And we were also, I think, able to raise the bar as a distance program too.
Yeah. Um, to now it's I know like I know legacy is a big thing with, you know, with Brighton. Um, speaking from experience. Um,
Hmm.
the biggest thing is what what your two older brothers did, what you did, you know, 8 years of you guys kind of you, Jack, and Dan have kind of just set the standard for what it is. I mean, when Elsie started, Dan was that was Dan's first year. And
Hmm.
that flash forward almost 8 years later, it's it's it.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you thought back about that?
Of course. Yeah. I think that kind of fueled me. After Jack left, my junior and senior year, that fueled me to just like continue that and just like leave the Campbell legacy as good as possible. Now, I can only hope to hear that like we set a good standard. Of course, there's other factors and other great teammates we've had, but um, that always fills me with joy whenever I hear that the Campbells were a valued part of the team. We only hope to bring value to the team, so that's great to hear.
Yeah. Um, it's like, I mean, I think this is the first year Elsie will not have there's no more. You're the last one.
Yeah,
Um, let's that is mom and dad gonna be is it gonna be weird not having anyone in the house?
I definitely think so. My mom and dad talk about that a lot. Um, and it'll be quiet. And I think Elsie will do. I think he'll be just fine. He's a great coach, obviously. So, um, yeah. And I also think like the Campbells are gone, but I would hope the relationships I've made with all the younger guys will continue uh, through them, and they can make an impact on the team.
Yeah.
Their time's up, or my time's up.
Yeah, let's go to that. I mean, the relationships that you've built with other people. What will you remember about that? Like just with the younger guys, like, how do you like because everyone's got like so many different personalities. Like, you know, you're a little outgoing. Ty, I mean, actually all three of you are.
Yeah.
But Tyler's outgoing, kind of quiet at first, and then, he started to come out of his shell. You stuck with the same personality all the way through. Um, but I mean, I've known you for a long time, so
Yeah, yeah.
but what's it like just to try to, you know, like I don't know how to explain this, but like mesh well with maybe different personalities.
So I mean, I don't know, I think as successful as we were, I think what does matter is the relationships.
Yeah.
And I think what I learned is the older I got, and when I became more of a leader, is that if we're not a brotherhood, if we don't mesh well, if we can't get along, then any success we have is meaningless.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a priority. Uh, I think for our program is that it's a family first, I guess you'd say.
The thing is also you had to mesh well with Elsie, and he's kind of he's kind of got a, you know, obviously he's is his own personality. What was it like?
Mm.
How does he like mesh well with you guys? Because it's like it's so perfect. It seems like it's
So Elsie, I think he may come off to people like my freshman year, like I didn't necessarily know how to react to him, but I think the more time you spend around him, you realize that first of all he's very kind, and second of all
absolutely.
he brings the best out of you. That's I think that's maybe his best trait was he carries himself with so much respect, and he embodies all the things that he wants you to embody, and that really brought out the best in me, and I know it brought out the best in a lot of my teammates.
So separating from, the sports side of things, on the school side of things, you've obviously accomplished a lot there as well. what was that like? I mean, you were in the leadership class and all that fun
Mhm.
stuff. Have you always been that kind of way? Because it was like, because sometimes people get in there, it's like it's brought the best out of people. But what did that like? What did that experience teach you?
Yeah, I really liked leadership. I think whether we were raising money or whether we were just doing fun things around the school, I thought it got me out of my comfort zone, which I think that's pretty important. So I think that helped me grow a little bit. Um, and yeah, I think that was pretty awesome. I don't know if I've always necessarily been in the leadership type thing. I've always been outgoing, but I not I never necessarily wanted to like identify myself with like the leadership group. But I kind of got over that. I'm like, you know what, we can do a lot of great if I'm, or I can be a part of a lot of greatness if I'm in this leadership group. And it was a lot of fun. It was a blast.
Yeah. Graduation was this past weekend. Um, Walking across that stage, what was that moment like for you?
It was great. I thought it was honestly I had more fun doing it than anything. Um, it was pretty sentimental, but it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not extremely emotional, but it wasn't, or at least for graduation, I wasn't extremely emotional. But I had a lot of fun, and I'm ready to go in the next chapter. But there's a lot of mixed feelings with that, I guess.
Yeah. Are you leaving behind a lot of things, but everything is, everything's got to come to an end, and always there's always an exciting next chapter.
Of course.
Let's talk about that next. What is the next chapter for you?
So I'm going to go to Grand Canyon University. I'm going to study theology. In terms of like what I plan on doing in terms of like physical activity, I'm not going to run for the team there. But I do plan on like still like reading books about running and being into that stuff and being into fitness in general. And maybe one day I could be a college coach.
Interesting. Yeah. And so like, the next year, you're going to be all the way in Arizona. I believe that's where Jack is, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
So as you kind of leave your legacy behind, like what do you hope to pass on to, the next group?
I mean, I guess there's a lot of little things, but the biggest thing is um, that they know. Like, I hope they they carry on the example that I think hopefully my captain's left, is that you're going to do everything you can to better the team, and I hope they know that they're just valued. I think when you know you're genuinely valued by a leader, you flourish, and I hope that they can continue to do that with the underclassmen.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing, best moment from this year.
Okay. There's a lot of good ones. Um, Even though we placed second, I'm gonna have to say the cross country state championship, because I thought about that day nonstop until it happened, and after it happened, to be honest with you, and I couldn't be more proud of a team
Yeah. Was this year?
this year. Yeah, this year.
Okay, this past. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Okay. Well, Luke, that is it's gonna do it. Thank you so much for the time as always, and talk to you soon.
of course. Thank you very much.